So we got Marcus Montgomery on board next, but let's promote Gameheads again. Well, he's gonna be doing that with you guys. Yeah. I mean, you guys are homies.
We're on the same board.
But yeah, Marcus Montgomery. We have a video that we're gonna roll out for Gameheads, I believe. So let's do that right now.
Gameheads is very diverse and we're very close to each other.
We teach game design and development from the ground up. They make video games that are about their communities. It's not every day that a kid who lives in West Oakland or lives in Richmond gets an opportunity to be trained and mentored by someone who works at Riot Games or works at Naughty Dog or works at EA.
Issues I see in the gaming industry, like a lack of diversity, and whether that's based on like gender and race, especially for women. Like there's like a lot of games where they're sexualized and it's like just really not cool. I would assume that if I didn't have Gameheads behind me, I would have a really hard time. I believe that there's a lot of games that don't show what Latina women actually are. My team was very inspired in creating a game that involved the Me Too movement since we're an all-girl team. The game that I've designed is called Pussy Punch-Out. This game is basically about a cat taking revenge on frat guys. It was a game to teach people that toxic masculinity shouldn't be okay and that we need to fight against it.
Diversity is important in the game industry because even though you know the context, you won't be able to know like the feeling like through experiences. So you need different people with different experiences to convey emotions that a player can feel themselves.
And they'll attempt to help you.
Gameheads is definitely promoting people to be more open about who they are, and they teach them about how their identity can affect what is in the gaming industry. The one and only game that I worked on is called Offbeat Asians. You as a character fight personified Asian stereotypical like metaphors, what an Asian would be fit into.
So what we found is that 50% of our students are in college studying science, technology, engineering, design, or math. And those are a big deal for us.
I think it's important for Gameheads to exist in Oakland because there's so many people that want to go into like a big career path in Oakland. So I think Gameheads really opens an opportunity for them to expand whatever they need to expand on.
We need that type of representation. We're not always telling the same story when it comes to different ethnicities. We all experience different things. Gameheads is really just kind of pushing people who have different backgrounds and different ideas and kind of giving them a platform to kind of reach out to other people who look like us.
So that was a clip from Gameheads, who this dude, Alfonso, helps represent. And also our next guest, Marcus Montgomery, who's a veteran game developer as well. He supports this, and he is on the line. So we're going to chat with him for a minute. What is poppin'? What's up, Marcus?
What's going on, brother?
What's going on? It's good to be here.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Your scenery is amazing, by the way. How it's like reflecting. It looks sick.
Well, you already know how great it is. That's the result of my wife, because you know I ain't got no style.
That's amazing.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's thanks so much for joining us. All this has been coming together, and you hopped on board to talk about your experience in the game industry. I think that's extremely important. I remember when I met you for the first time, I can't remember, we met each other in passing a few times at some of these meetups, in these Bay Area meetups, and then at Gameheads when I was checking out the showcase for the first time like 3 years ago, I believe. And then we just start chopping it up, and and you were telling me like where you were working and the things you were working on, and I was like, what the hell? That's so awesome. Again, my eyes light up every time I hear another, game developer of color, and we're able to exchange war stories and stories about what we're doing and hustling and that kind of thing. Can you talk a little bit about your background?
Right. I'm a game designer. I've been in the industry 20 some odd years now. I rival Tony, but Tony definitely has so much more done. I've been in the industry 20 some odd years. I got started at Sega. I was in the test department. And before that, actually, I had just, how do I put this? I wanted to get in the industry. I studied computer science. I got a degree in computer science and was going to go back to Wisconsin and learn how to write database software for banks. And that wasn't really what I wanted to do. Before I graduated, I wrote Sega a letter and said, I want an internship. I want any sort of entry-level position you can give me. And from there, they wrote me back maybe about a month after me being home and saying, hey, we've got an internship. Would you like to come out? And I said, yes. And I packed up the car. 2 days later, I was in the Bay Area trying to make my way.
Oh my God. That is like, it resonates so much. That's exactly what happened to me. And I'm not trying to make this about me, but like, I can't help it. Like when I didn't even know that. But yeah, that's the same thing. Like I was like, do or die. I was in San Diego. I got this opportunity at IGN to showcase our game and live up here and work for 3 months. I had no money, and I was like, I got a loan from the school to pay for myself, packed up our shit, and just drove to San Francisco.
If I remember correctly, you were in some reality game show when you started.
Yeah,
that's how you first got on my radar.
Oh, really? I didn't even know anyone saw that.
I saw it, and I was like, oh, there's a brother out here trying to do some sort of game. And then I remember it was your combo man, and I was like, that looks right up my alley. I need to know who this dude is. Yeah. So I always kept an eye out for you.
Cool.
What's interesting about all of you guys' stories, so your story, Marcus, all these stories, that you guys have to put everything on the line in order to get into the industry. That seems a little terrible. Like, as from a perspective of like how folks of color get in this industry, it's like, all right, what I want you to do is like, if you want to get in the game industry, you need to risk everything, and if you make it, you'll be fine. If you don't, then
But I mean, the thing about it is, it makes you that much stronger. And this is my from my perspective, is that it makes you that much stronger. And it didn't matter. Like, anything could get thrown at me. You know what I mean? Any obstacle could get thrown at me. I'm dying for what I want to do. So it didn't matter. I would make it. And you're right. It's like, it's not easy.
That's a serious barrier for you guys are confident people, so I think you and Marcus and the folks that we've talked to are like super confident and driven folks. But what that does is it sets you apart from everyone else. So it's like you have to be exceptional in order to get in this industry. And that's the thing that I'm trying to sort of, take down those barriers with the Gameheads program and with the DevOps program. Is like, yes, I want you to work hard. I want you to like invest in yourself, but you shouldn't have to risk everything that you are in order to be in this industry. Like, it should be, it's about access to this industry, and it's about having a pathway to do it. And that's why I think what happens with folks of color is like, well, you made it, well, why can't the rest of your people make it? It's like, the rest of our people can't make it because, one, they don't have a computer at home, they don't have internet, they don't have, like, there's all these barriers that are up in front of us. So
there's a lot of things that are barriers, and I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I think for my situation 20 some odd years ago, there was no industry that I knew of outside of probably Valley Midway arcade games that I could get into. And that wasn't something that I knew about or how to do. Sega was something I loved, and I threw out that Hail Mary. Once I got out here, and 15, 20 years ago, you realize the Bay Area is where you needed to be if you wanted to learn and thrive and build a career in video games. That is not the case anymore. As with Unity and Unreal and GameMaker and all these other different software packages, there's been a democratization of effort. And the risk is not necessarily as strong. But the truth is, if you want to work at certain developers, if you want to work with certain particular studios, you're going to have to leave where you are to go do that. That may be changing now that everyone realizes remote working is possible for a lot of different studios. We've been thrust into that realization. I've worked with companies that have had remote working before. But that said, there is a certain amount of, I think the key thing that needs to be really said is there needs to be grit.
Yes, exactly.
You need to want to do this. Like, you just can't say, this isn't working at McDonald's. You can't just say, I'm going to go put in an application here, here, and here and just work.
Correct.
Yeah, there's access there, but the barrier to success is really, really low. For games, there's a lot of effort and focus and skill and a drive that you need to have to learn, because the industry, and you know this, Alfonso, 5 years ago, the security software is different than what it is today, right? And you have to be on top of. Every year you need to be learning something new. Every 2 years you need to be learning something
every
new.
6 months.
Every 6 months. And so the same thing is with the game industry if you're not on top of what's happening. So this is one of the things that we've been trying to, at least with Gameheads, and one of the things I think has been great, is that we're trying to instill that understanding of grit. We also comprehend not all of our students are going to necessarily move into the industry, but we do want to teach them the aspects of grit that are going to make them successful in whatever avenues they choose to pursue. And we've been seeing that become beneficial as our students move off into USC, they move off into San Diego, UC San Diego, they move off into NYU, Chico, Santa Cruz, all these different places. And that's the sort of thing that's going to help them survive, and not just in school, but in their careers beyond.
Yeah, I think that what we're talking, since we're having a dialogue, like a triangular dialogue about this, it was like about to get heated for a second. But one thing I do think, because I think grit is in the industry is a major factor for anyone, but the access comes with executives, and executives making the decision to also see other minorities or people of color having the grit, wherewithal, and then the education and experience in order to pull them up, right? And that's what, when there's all these funds, like Gameheads is really an amazing component in that, because you're teaching kids from the ground level up to get their education, to understand how the industry works, that type of thing. But the folks that have already graduated and are trying to get into it, and there's these, like right now, because of the Black Lives Matter movement, all these things, there's these funds popping up everywhere. But what I feel that they should do also, while doing charitable events like with Gameheads and the NAACP and that type of thing, they need to put their money where their mouth is and actually start hiring internally executives to help out, competent executives who know what they're doing, to hire other folks, people of color too. So that's just my random. That's
not random.
Okay.
It is not random at all. Like one of the things that I think is the thing that I think has been very important about the Gameheads program is that we're really trying to tackle the pipeline at all points along the path. So we're trying to get kids right in high school. We're carrying them through college. But then the thing that we're still trying to build into our program, and this would be a call out to gaming studios and these publishers, is that we need internships. We need paths into employment.
Yes.
We're building those executives right now.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
You think you look at Gameheads, we're building those executives, and they're ready.
Right.
And they will be ready in the next 3 to 5 years. But they need that doorway. They need that opportunity. And we're not getting those internships. We're not getting those entry-level positions to bolster their actual application of the knowledge that we're trying to build on them right now.
Yeah.
The pipeline fails.
Yeah, speaking of that, so I run the DevOps program at Gameheads.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do that with the DevOps program because I was an executive at a healthcare startup. So as the students sort of applied for opportunities at the organization, I was the hiring manager. So it made it easier for those students to get into that organization, and 4 of them have full-time positions and are doing really well and thriving. So all it takes is one individual inside of an organization to care enough to actually make that investment and to connect with our program or any program that's doing this kind of work. So,
or just in the real world in general, you know what I mean? When I was young, if I had Gameheads, I'd be on top of that, but I didn't. So, but if there were other people, and I've had amazing mentors of all colors, but if there were some that I could identify with, that would be, very amazing. Let's get. I want to. Oh, go ahead.
I would just say this one thing. Speaking on that, we're always looking for mentors. That's one of the key components of Gameheads program, right? So one of the things we do is we work with professional developers across different game studios. We've got folks from Ubisoft, we got people from Microsoft, we have folks from Naughty Dog, we have folks support from Riot and EA, and these people get paired with our students because, Justin, as you know, it isn't always necessarily what you know, it's who you know.
It's who you know, yeah.
And if we can build these relationships early and have them start to work with our students and get to know them, that actually helps kind of bridge that gap. And it's not about, how did we say it? It's not getting about a hand out, it's getting a hand up, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the main thing, yeah. I want to talk more about your, what you've worked on, because I think that's what you've done is amazing in the industry.
Oh, that's very kind. I think some of us who've been in the industry longer have games that we're extremely proud of and games that we tend to try to forget.
Yeah, for sure.
But my start, I started off with Sega and I tested a lot of different things for the Saturn, Genesis era. From there, my first game development job was at Cyclone Studios. They were owned by the 3DO company, and Cyclone Studios had a game called Uprising on PC. But they were trying to start their first foray into console, and they decided that Uprising would make a good console game on PlayStation 1. So I worked on Uprising X, which was not a port, but a conversion to try and make it work. From there, we moved wholeheartedly under the 3DO umbrella, and I worked on 2 Army Men Air Attack titles, actually very heavily inspired by the Strike series that Tony worked on.
Yes, I remember those.
And then from there, I moved over to first party Sony and worked on Rise to Honor featuring Jet Li. That was my first AAA game.
You worked on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm getting nerdy right now. I can't help it. I'm getting
no, that's
giddy.
fine.
I remember playing that. It had you use the analog sticks to fight the different dudes, which is one of the first times they utilized that. And then later on, Batman kind of used that idea. Anyway.
Yeah, we were the beginning of that sort of dual stick fighting. It was kind of interesting. We were really trying to emulate Hong Kong action, and we really wanted the game to feel like a full-on film. We had no loading screens. It was nonstop action. I focused a lot on the AI and group combat and defined on that, and worked on a lot of just the behaviors of how the rhythm of the fighting in those groups. From there, this was during the recession, and I moved over to Backbone Entertainment and got to work on some of the Capcom remakes. So I was lead on Commando 3, Wolf of the Battlefield, and then worked on 1942 Joint Strike for Xbox 360 and PSN. Those are some of the, working there was one of the best things I could work on. Got to work on a Gauntlet game for DS that never came out. There's ROMs floating around, some out there.
Oh, wow. Was that Backbone?
Yeah, it was Backbone with Mike Micah, who's now at Other Ocean. What else did I work on? Dance Central 3. Backbone had a very long-standing relationship with Harmonix, working on a lot of Rock Band ports and such, and I got to collaborate with Harmonix on developing Dance Central and some of the mini games and stuff that came out from that. From there, I moved over to free to play, and I worked on a MOBA called Tome Immortal Arena. Then what was after that? Yeah, a bunch of different things. Yeah, most recently, I worked on Zombie Gunship Survival for Limbic Software. That game is still out there, being run by the publisher. And then the most recent thing that I worked on was Power Rangers Legacy Wars with my friends over at Enway. That is a mobile game that's still out there. They just made the Power Rangers Battle for the Grid console game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got to work on the mobile version. That was a lot of fun. I watched way too many Power Rangers clips. Way too many. I had no idea. Like I ejected after like the first 2 seasons and didn't realize that it kept going. Well, I did, but didn't really pay attention. There's like 25 seasons or something. It's insane.
That's cool. So now you're at Facebook making some things. I know you can't talk about it. I just
no comment on that.
Did I mess up by saying you're working with them?
No, not at all.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
That's my current employment. But I spend most of my time, whether free time, working with Gameheads and really focusing on trying to get these students prepared for their next sets of their career.
Yeah. Marcus is an amazing mentor, and he is hard on the students, and I love that because that's how we drive the students. That's where the grit comes from. It's like we expect from them the same level of investment that we expect from ourselves, and that's how they're going to make it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what you said, right? A hand up, right?
Absolutely.
and you have to like make sure that what you do, you're striving for excellence and greatness every time, as opposed to just like doing the bare minimum, because you know what I mean? Like I think that's a part of you know what we in this culture is like we can't expect that. We have to just keep striving.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the best things has been our students have been really focused on trying to tell their unique stories, and you know whether it be games about gentrification or having communication gaps with your own parents who are immigrants, or just even trying to explain the experience of just being a mother. It's been really, really good.
Cool. Well, anyway, man, it's been awesome having you on. What's next for Gameheads? What you're working on for Gameheads? Have you been a part of the process, the onboarding process for everything going virtual?
Yes. Right now, the biggest thing that we're focused on is how we're going to break into our student team so they can work on their summer projects. And Justin, you've been to our showcase.
Yes.
We take the summer break for our students in the next 2 to 3 months. They break into teams, come up with their own game ideas, and then our instructors and mentors help guide them to make sure that they can complete something. And it's usually a 3 to 5 minute demo explaining their vision and have something playable by the end of this year. So we're focusing on how we're going to be able to remote work and collaborate, and also have a distance showcase where we can share our products with the world. Awesome.
Yeah, so Gameheads is looking for mentors. You can donate through Tiltify, through Guerrilla Collective. I can't believe this is ridiculous, but through Guerrilla so much.
Weekend,
yeah, exactly. Through Guerrilla Collective, and check out Gameheads. Anything else you want to kind of add to the discussion before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you for this platform. It's been a blessing to get to know you, and I've actually been really excited to see what I've seen today, seeing Ahmed, seeing Will, definitely seeing Tony, because I know Tony, we go way back, and I just can't wait to see what else you have on your docket. So thank you for this opportunity.
Cool. Yeah, we got to link up and do this again for sure.
Awesome.
Definitely. We can probably do it around our showcase in August.
Yep. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Marcus. That was Marcus Montgomery. He's amazing. Like such a long record of stuff that he's put together and have worked on, and you know, helping Gameheads which is really cool. Kind of seeing all that pulls me into it. Like, I want to help. I want to give back, that kind of thing. So make sure to donate.